día, John. Gracias por estar en el canal. Bienvenido. Quisiera hablar sobre una producción de tus inicios. Yo sé que de pronto la has podido recordar porque hay muy pocas entrevistas que la han estado haciendo. Quisiera preguntarte sobre Southern Manhattan. Quisiera que me compartieras alguna anécdota sobre uno de tus debuts.
John, welcome to the channel. And wanna ask you about one of your earlier productions.
Okay.
It's called Southern Manhattan. So anything you can tell us about those beginnings, go ahead.
That was my, I think that was my first film. It's kind of heartbreaking because the woman who directed that film and wrote that film, Adrienne Shelley, was a dear friend of mine. And we had done several plays together. And I had done a short film with her. And she was my best friend's girlfriend. And then while she was in post-production and the editing process, final stages of it for her movie Waitress, she was murdered in Manhattan. So although it was a great experience and my first time on camera for that length of time and something I've always wanted to do, and we shot it in New York, my hometown, and I was doing it with friends, it's kind of a bittersweet memory. It's hard to go back and talk about that movie and look at that movie because it's a comedy and it was her first film. And I think she would have gone on to continue to be a good filmmaker, a really good filmmaker. She was just getting going, you know. But other than that, I could say that I don't think I was very good in that movie. I was trying, but I wasn't very experienced as a film actor. So I have a much different process now than I did then. But there's a rawness and an innocence about the character and about my talent at the time or lack of it. So I probably can go back now and enjoy it because I'm older now, and it's kind of like looking at an old photograph when you were younger and looked a certain way and acted a certain way, and it's different from who you are now. But it's part of me. So if you have any questions about it, I can answer, but I don't really know what else to say about it.
No, it's okay. I will translate. Thank you for telling me this. May this interview, if you allow us, be an homage to her. And if you allow me, I will translate. John, es una memoria muy agridulce. Dice que es una comedia, dice que obviamente él la analiza ahora y siente que tal vez pudo haber actuado mejor, que fue los inicios muy bellos que tuvo con esa directora cuya carrera iba ascendiendo, pero trágicamente, y él me permitió decirlo, ella fue asesinada. Dice que fue
Wow.
justo cuando estaba haciendo su filme Waitress. Dice que pues es como una mezcla de sentimientos acordarse porque en realidad es una comedia, la vida es muy trágica. Le dije que pues, que él dijo que de pronto él podría decir más cosas de esa película, creo que tal vez tú tienes otras preguntas de otras producciones, y yo le dije que pues que este episodio sea un homenaje a ella y a su obra.
Ok. Voy también a hablar sobre otra producción que es bastante interesante y yo sé que es bien recordar que se llama Clubland. Quisiera preguntarte sobre el poder que me digas qué es lo que más te impactó de tus escenas y el ambiente con el que estaba rodeada la historia.
Okay, John, and what can you tell us about working at Clubland? About the environment of this production, about your scene on this project?
One of the first films I did in Los Angeles, I'd moved to Los Angeles in 1997. I went out there to do a pilot television series, and I stayed. And it was an independent film that was funded, I believe, by David Foster, the music mogul, and one of the writers, Glenn Ballard. He was a songwriter. I think he was Alison Morissette's songwriter at the time. And so they had a bunch of music money that was going to go into the soundtrack, and hopefully the soundtrack and the music talent and the new music talent that the music company could generate would help fund the movie, or at least balance the movie's budget by selling the soundtrack afterward. So a little above my pay grade at the time and how the business aspect was done, but it was directed by Mary Lambert, who, aside from doing a Pet Sematary sequel, had done a really cool independent avant-garde art film called Siesta with Ellen Barkin and Gabriel Byrne, I believe. And so I thought, and Jodie Foster. So I really thought that was a cool movie. And so when I heard Mary Lambert was doing it, I was kind of excited. We became friends afterward. And once again, I was young and green, and I would do a ton of stuff differently now for that movie. I was playing a bad guy, which I usually play a villain or antagonist. But for some reason, I wasn't that violent for most of the movie, and I had people doing my violence for me, henchmen, thugs. And so I decided at the time, because of the way they wanted me to look with this dyed champagne pink hair, that I would play him like Andy Warhol, who was an artist that was often accused of delegating his work to his factory workers, so that he would come up with a concept and everybody else would do the actual labor. So I just kind of took it upon myself to make an Andy Warhol-like character that would have everybody else do my violence for me. But I don't think it worked.
That's a crazy thing. And yeah, I do remember, now that you're telling, I do remember this movie, man. It's crazy. And Jhon was guiding me. Hopefully, we got the amazing Mary Lambert here on the channel. Amazing, amazing director. I will be, if I'm an actor on those years, I will be excited to work in any project with her, so I understand. But I will translate.
Oh, hold on one
Jhon,
second. Before you translate, are my answers too long so that it's hard to translate?
I developed a method that I can shorten the answers. So
Okay,
don't
because you
worry.
can off anytime you want, because sometimes I just, as my wife says, I talk too much.
No, that's fine for us. And don't worry, sometimes I decide to translate later. So don't
Okay,
worry.
thank you.
Pues, no, thanks to you, man. Pues, hombre, creo que yo viste la increíble directora que está detrás de este proyecto, que estuvo detrás. Una locura porque sí es un proyecto loquísimo. O sea, fue producido por David Foster y Glenn Ballard. Tú sabes que ellos dos son grandes empresarios de la música, más en los 90. Creo que tenían pensado financiar la película con la venta del soundtrack, con artistas nuevos.
Sí.
Él hacía un personaje, John propuso un personaje rarísimo, que era un villano a lo Andy Warhol, o sea, donde él en realidad no hacía las maldades, sino tenía un montón de asesinos que, digamos, como a su disposición, pero pues esa idea no funcionó, pero él apenas oyó el nombre Mary Lambert, tú sabes, sí está Pet Sematary 2, dijo, lo hago, y pues obviamente ya me acuerdo de esa película, es loquísima esa película.
Sí, muy loca. Hay dos historias también loquísimas. Bueno, una la vi en Prime Video y YouTube al mismo tiempo. Y también otra que estuvo excelente, muy buena, que se llama eh, la de la sirena mortal y la del cocodrilo.
I know you hear us talking, but yeah, I was asking John because he really enjoyed your performance and the Mermaid Chronicles Part 1, the She Creature, and I think the second part is about the crocodile. So anything you can tell us, and John sends kudos for the performance on those projects, so tell us more about it.
Wait, which ones?
He loved your acting on Mermaid Chronicles, the Mermaid Chronicles.
Oh, Mermaid Chronicles. Oh, wow. You know, I don't think I saw that, but that was with, at the time, I was friends with Sebastian Gutierrez, who was the director, and his partner, Carla. So I think I had just come back from India doing some sequel to a crocodile movie. I think you just mentioned that. And so um, they just asked me to do that with them. And Rufus Sewell was in it, who was an actor who I admired. And so I don't think I auditioned for that. I think I just kind of got in through nepotism. But I didn't really see the final project. But you know, working with friends is always a good thing. I don't really remember. I think I had a small part, but I liked working with those people because they were friends, and I was a fan of Rufus Sewell's and still am. So it was fun to be with them. But that was also an early time in my acting career. I think we did more films back then. I think now it's more a TV game. So most of the film stuff I did is kind of back in the day, except for a few new ones I got coming out this year. So
And if John, because John told me that he watched some parts on YouTube, if he got that movie on YouTube, I will say that share it to
Y
you.
el
And
cocodrilo
I will,
también.
no, John, si puedes, compártela porque él increíblemente nunca la vio. Él dice que él
Oh,
primero hizo la del cocodrilo.
está muy buena, man.
eh, sí, sí, y dice que por gracias a la del cocodrilo él no tuvo que audicionar para la sirena. Dice que, corrígeme, ahí estuvo Rufus Sewell, ¿no?
Sí,
Excelente
sí, claro.
actor. Dice que es muy amigo de Sebastián Gutiérrez. Dice que todos los que están ahí son muy amigos. Y no, dile que pásajela, porfa.
Se
Dile
lo
que
voy
le
a
gustó.
conseguir y la voy a pasar.
Dice que en esa época, que bueno, que él siempre lo hacía de malos, él hacía mucho cine, muchísimo, por eso no recuerdo, y que él después pasó a la televisión,
Sí, él pasó para alguna, para los Goldberg, para otras producciones. Pero
24.
sí, muy buena. Hay también otra que es una antes de las series, que él hizo algo de comedia muy buena. Yo sé que tú la viste, que con Johnny Depp me hizo reír muchísimo esa escena. Coméntale que alguna anécdota que pueda compartir, ¿no?
John was telling me that he really laughed the hell out of him watching Life Without It, man. So anything you can tell about that project, go ahead.
Life Without Dick.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that was also after I got back, right, I think from India. Maybe that was the one. I can't remember now. They're kind of all, as you get older, you kind of, everything kind of blends into one dream. Um, I just remember I don't think that movie was well received, but I remember having a blast doing that. And I think Ronnie Yeskel was the casting director, and she cast, I think, Pulp Fiction. So she was one of Tarantino's original casting directors. So I wanted to do well for her. And you know, part of a hitman is always fun. And they let me do whatever I wanted on that. The idea was killing a guy with golf clubs, and I could write my own dialogue a little bit, and I still had crazy hair coming back from India with no haircut after 3 months. I was in India for 3 months, and so it was a funny look. It was a funny time. Uh, Craig Ferguson I knew because we had the same manager, and I thought Harry Connick was a lot of fun. Uh, I know that movie wasn't well received or seen by a lot of people, but I thought that's still a very fun part, and I never really care so much about how the movie comes out afterward. I mean, I do, and you should, but sometimes just the experience, and if it's a fun time, sometimes that's enough. You do the best you can, you know, and it's hard to make a successful or good movie. So if I have fun, sometimes that's enough.
John Watson, John enjoyed it, and John will love that knowing that you got fun doing that project. Pues John dice que ese proyecto fue justo también igual después de volver de la India. Tú sabes que tenía un cabello loquísimo
Sí,
en
muy
esa
loco.
época. John dice que él no le importa si la película fue bien o mal recibida, porque él tuvo un gran momento. La jefe de casting fue la misma de Pulp Fiction, le dio toda la
Oh.
libertad, escribió los diálogos, parte de los diálogos, lo dejó improvisar. Tú sabes muy bien qué es lo de y pues, yo sé que te da mucha risa, ¿no? Lo del asesino en los campos de golf, dice que no, que
Muy
tuvo mucha
buena.
diversión haciendo esa parte. Entonces yo le dije que tú ibas a estar feliz al saber que él pasó un gran momento haciendo esa
Qué
película.
bueno, qué bueno. Gracias. Thank you, John. Hay otra producción que la verdad sí le pregunto, esa sí no la he visto, una de las pocas que no le... ¿Qué pasó con Victor? En el que dirigió JP Mulero, eso está como engavetado, todavía sigue sin verse. Cuéntame.
Do you know what happened with BitTalk still on festivals? Where is that project? We cannot see it on streaming services or anything. What can you tell?
I have no idea. I remember I had fun doing that. I never saw dailies. I never saw Final Cut. I never saw anything. I remember working on that movie late at night, early in the morning. Some really funny character actors. Maurice Comte was in that, who's a really successful actor, and Mel Rodriguez, and there were some cool people on that show. But no, I never. Don Henny from Australia. I never saw one. I never saw 1 inch of that movie. I know as much about it as you do. Everybody disappeared.
I, I think I don't need to translate. Yo creo que no necesito traducir.
That movie's like a snuff film, man. It's just gone.
John, eso fue como una película snuff. Está perdido. Dice
Oh,
que pasó un buen
man.
momento, que grabó en las madrugadas, que buenísimo es elenco, pero nada, no
Bueno,
se sabe.
alguna vez tendrá que darse. Eso es lo más importante. Te
Más
quiero
bien,
dar,
si
eh,
usted algún día llegue a tener al director y aparece, le avisas.
por
Sería bueno
favor,
decirle.
sí.
It,
Ah,
it somehow John managed to know about this movie, we will tell you, man.
Please. Yeah.
John, por favor, dale.
hay otra producción que tú la has visto, Andrés, de David O. Russell. Street King, man. Oh, man. Cuéntame, cuéntame una experiencia de ella.
Um, we know because we have read about, and of course we love that movie. All the not the trouble, but it was a bumpy ride doing Three Kings. But man, it's an amazing movie. The first one of the first one of David O. Russell. So anything you can tell us, because yeah, somehow even with all this histories of this movie, we still enjoy it. So anything you can tell us, go ahead.
I only like to gossip. I know the whole story, and I can quote the fight and argument verbatim, word for word, but I won't do that. But I was about 3 feet away from that fight. And so I'm an eyewitness, but that's as much as I'll say about that story, because there's enough people out there that like to gossip and make headlines by leaking news and stories, and it's just not for me. I don't just that's not my cup of tea. So I won't say anything unless they themselves ask me to go on the stand and swear on a Bible what happened. But I loved working on that because that was as big a production. I mean, I did a Marvel movie as in Captain America Part
Mhm.
something, and that didn't feel like anything to me. I mean, I know Anthony Russo pretty well, and um, I wish him the best of careers. But me personally, I'm not much of a superhero fan, so I never saw the movie. And when you're working on a green screen, as I did in that movie, it didn't feel like a big movie. I mean, I know it was because it is, but when you go on the set, it was just me and Anthony Russo and one other actor, and that was it inside a warehouse. Just in a warehouse. Everything else was just going to be done later in post production. So it felt like this interview right here, which I'm not belittling or making a thing of. It's just it didn't feel like anything. It was felt like pretend. But Three Kings production, which was I guess 1999, right around after Thanksgiving, I think we started, and then in through the early part of the next year. You were in the middle of a desert. They had to fly you down there. There were trailers and wagons and doom buggies and just crew, and the hot sun. And it felt like everything you thought a movie should look like and feel like when you hit a big set, which I had been on as of that time. And so I was just smiling the whole time. I just had a blast, and I didn't have a lot to say, but I was a good listener, and so I could just be an observer like a good cameraman should be. And the only mistake we made, which David O. Russell also said was that we never put any real film in my camera. And I'm a cameraman. If they had put some real film in my camera, there might have been something for them to cut to from my perspective. Not that they would have done that a lot, but in hindsight, David had said, "How come there's no freaking film in his camera? We should have done that." So he thought of that afterward, and that would have been kind of cool. I wish we would have done that. But we like to improvise. The basic thing on that movie, I'm sorry for going off on a tangent, but the biggest thing about that movie was David O. Russell, as an independent filmmaker and as a writer and director, he liked to change things on the spot. So he likes to not just improvise, but he'll rewrite something 30 seconds before the take just to try something new. And he'll keep doing that. And so since I was in the B story with Nora Dunn and Jamie Kennedy, it was easy for him to pull us into a van and just tell these three lesser known actors and maybe theater people that we're going to change this up right away and try it this way. And we were all game for it. And it kept it alive, almost like Cassavetes. It just kept it really fresh. And I loved it. And I still love that kind today. Whereas there were a majority of people that had not worked that way and that were afraid to work that way, no matter what their experience was in film or how good or great an actor he or she was, they were not comfortable with that process. And that created a lot of conflict on the set from the get-go. That was his method, but that was his first foray into big, high-budget filmmaking. So not everybody was hip to it, and not everybody trusted him with that. So that was the biggest thing I remember from that movie was he was establishing a certain kind of methodology and style that wasn't quite accepted or considered in vogue yet and readily accepted by the veteran actors, where I think now that's kind of his calling card, whether you like it or not. That's what he does. And I think he gets the most out of his actors that way, or at least what he likes to get out of his actors. So I think ultimately, you have to kind of like play along, and he's the coach. You got to play his way, and I like it, and some people don't.
And we
That's a lot
know,
to translate. Good luck with that.
no, in fact, and we know that he's an amazing screenwriter. So as an actor, if I were an actor, I don't care. They put me new material because it comes from the vet hands. And we don't care about the gossip, but man, I know we will care what will happen if that camera got taken, man. That you let me thinking, well, I will translate. John dice que aquí sí debo ser honesto porque le dije ahí en parte que pues la película de Tres Reyes, tú sabes que fue complejo toda esa cuestión, ¿no? Porque tú sabes que hay un rumor de que hubo una pelea en el set. Él dice que no le importa el chisme, que estuvo a pocos metros de eso que sucedió, pero él dice que hay algo que sí le preocupa más, John, y oye, me dejó pensando, John,
Bueno,
imagínate, tú sabes que él era el personaje del camarógrafo, ¿no?
sí,
David Russell al terminar la película le dijo algo que hubiera cambiado toda la trama. ¿Te imaginas si le hubieran puesto un video real a lo que él grababa? Hubiera cambiado todo. Y David dijo, ¿por qué yo no pensé en eso? Dice algo increíble, ¿no? Que tú sabes muy bien que él está con Jamie Kennedy y un montón de actores en esas escenas, las tomas de él. Él dice que tal vez lo que llevó a que hubiera un conflicto en el set fue que siempre David Russell le daba por cambiar un momento a otro los guiones. Y por eso es que
siempre.
otros actores se enojaron. Tú ya sabes cuál fue el problema, pero él no. Él dice muy bien que, entonces yo le dije que no me importaba, no nos importaba el chisme, pero sí nos va a importar el saber, oye, ¿qué hubiera pasado si en esa cámara en realidad hubiera un video? Hubiera cambiado toda la película.
Esas son preguntas que no me dejan dormir por la noche.
Sí, sí, sí.
Bueno, está la última pregunta y es una producción que la verdad está él dando de qué hablar, que se llama Countdown at the Gram. Está nuestro compañero y colega Mike fucking Ferguson ahí. Entonces, hombre, ¿cómo es la experiencia actuar junto con Don Lauren, junto con Terrence Howard?
Wow.
Coméntame todo, man. Felicitaciones.
Sácame una duda, ¿esa no es la del director que ya estuvo en el canal?
No, ese se llama
¿Otra?
Orbon, sí, el
¿Te
director.
parece?
Se
Okay.
parece, claro.
Now, there is a new production called Showdown at the Grand, sorry. We got the amazing Mike Ferguson. He was on the channel, a big friend of the channel. In the casting, we got Dolph Lundgren, we got Terrence Howard. So anything you can tell us about this new production, go ahead.
I saw the trailer. I think I sent that to you a few minutes ago in case you didn't know about it, but obviously you do. I thought the trailer looks real fun. The best thing about it is I've known the director, Orson Oblowitz, for a few years now, and I've done every movie that he's done. And I love working with him, and we have very similar taste, and he's a great person. It's always very cool to work with great people. You know, a lot of times it's not worth it if you do something and you don't like the person or they don't like you, because life's too short and nobody wants to be in an uncomfortable environment. And Orson is very, very loving, and I love working with him. That's my favorite thing, and he gives me a lot of freedom and a lot of confidence to do my thing. I loved working with Terrence Howard. I thought he was incredible. I think he is incredible. I know that sometimes there's people get mixed reviews, or you hear these things, like I said before, gossip, and most of it's not true. But I think he's a lovely person and a real giving actor. And I just thought he was so creative, and I love playing in the sandbox with him. I just thought it was great. And Mike too. You know, Mike Ferguson and I. When I was living in LA, I just moved to New York City this past month. So, excuse my background. I have this new office space in the Empire State Building, and I haven't decorated or even put a book on the bookshelf yet. So it's real sparse in here. But I just moved back to my hometown of New York. But when I was in LA, I was a one-car family. So basically, I left the car with my wife and child, and Mike Ferguson would pick me up every morning in his car, and his big cop interceptor car with cigarette cartons all over the floor, and he would drive me to work every day. And so we got to be pretty good friends on the set, and I loved working with him too. He was very, very kind and fun to hang out with. What can I say about Dolph Lundgren? I'll leave this to you, but I think he's a much better actor than he is a person. And that's as much gossip as I'll give you on that.
Don't worry, because I need to translate that part of. I mean, we will send that to Mike Ferguson because we feel like a good envy. We cannot believe how he's been driven by him. He's an amazing person. So I will translate everything, but mostly the Mike Ferguson part, because he's an amigo. He's a friend from the channel.
Okay.
He was in fact the first person that we interviewed, man. So we owe him a lot. I will translate. Jhon, esto se vienen controversias y no se vienen controversias, pero te diré lo bonito. ¿Sabes por qué el fondo está así? Se acaba de mudar, está otra vez en Nueva York. Bueno, Jhon nos había dicho antes que él estaba en Los Ángeles. Jhon, el director, excelente amigo. Creo que hay un dato buenísimo acá. Todas las películas de ese director ha salido Jhon, todas. Segundo dato bonito, Terrence Howard, increíble actor. Esto dice que no le importa lo que hayan dicho de él porque es un increíble actor. Lo de Mike Ferguson, Jhon, siento envidia de la buena. Resulta que cuando se estaban mudando, Mike los llevaba, dice que el carro, él decía que el carro él era como un gran interceptor de la policía porque tenía todo lo equivocado, ¿no? Las cajas de cigarrillos, tú ya te imaginas el
Sí,
supercarrazo.
me imagino el de carga.
Pero dice que Mike Ferguson es una persona muy bonita, entonces quiero que le pase a Mike. Y pues Jhon, sí, una parte controversial, ¿no? Dice que Dolph Lundgren es mejor actor que persona. Pero pues tenemos acá un directorazo. Dije que no importa, lo que no importa es lo de Mike. Ahí tienes que decirle
It's good, man.
que lo que importa es lo de Mike Ferguson.
Sí, man. Thank you. No, man. Jhon, esto ha sido increíble. Esto es tu espacio para que diga tus redes sociales. Un saludo para Colombia. Por cierto, te compartí la de Sirena, pero está en español.
Man, too bad that Jhon only found the Latino link, the Spanish link from the movie about the siren, but if you can surpass that, our language, the language barrier, see it, I will watch it. No, man, the camera is yours. Tell your social media so people can follow you. Send a big hi to Colombia, to Juan.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm about I don't know if you consider myself, a nice way of saying what I am is old school. My daughter would say that I am technologically impaired. I have neither, I don't have a stitch of social media ever. I've never been on Facebook. I've never been on Instagram. I've never done a TikTok or a Talk Tick. I'm not sure what else there is out there, but
What?
I've done zero. I have zero. You can't follow me doing anything. Um, I know for a fact that besides Mike Ferguson, you have interviewed Chrissy Fox, and
Yes.
you've also interviewed Bonnie Aarons. And I just finished a movie with them called Little Bites, where it's my first prosthetic character playing a monster. And this director, this hip guy named Spider One, Chrissy's husband, he directed it, and I saw some footage of that, and I think that's going to be an interesting flick. I can't wait to see that. I'm kind of anxious, but I'm also kind of looking forward to it because I've never done anything like that before, and it was 4 hours or 3 hours to get in the makeup and an hour and a half to get out every single day, and I'll send you something. I'll send you some photos if you like. I have some photos from the shoot, but um, that's all I can say about. That's about as social media-esque as I can get. Is what's coming. I can just tell you. I don't have anywhere to post it.
Man, but you gave us a big news. Yes, Chrissy and Bonnie Aaron is one of the sweethearts on this channel. I really love the world of Spider-Man, not only as a director, I love him as a musician, from Power Man 5000. I wish when I found out, because we don't care about gossip, when I found out that he was the husband from Chrissy, I was, John, please bring him to the channel. I one of his biggest fans. And man, I need to translate. By the way, John sent you the link for the movie from the Mermaid movie, but it's in Spanish, man. Sorry. If you
That's
can
okay.
surpass, okay, I will watch it too. I will watch it too. So
Yo
I will
puedo
translate.
hablar español un poquito, pero no tengo un acento perfecto y mi hija no le gusta mi acento, pero yo no, no soy, ¿cómo se dice? Fluencia.
Fluido, fluido, fluido.
Fluido,
Hablas
pero
bien.
yo tengo un vocabulario así, lo siento.
Hablas bien. Do you speak well? But I will translate. John nos acaba de lanzar una bomba. Dice que bueno, sí, que él no usa medios sociales, lo que al igual que tú se me hace como que what, pero John, él aparece en la nueva película de Spider-Man con Crazy Fox,
Uh,
con Bonnie Arons, la película El Vampiro, tú que nos va a enviar fotos, dile que por favor, please send us the pictures with the makeup, please, because John, 4 horas ese proceso. Yo le dije que la razón para que te des cuenta que no nos gusta el chisme es cuando yo me enteré que Spider-Man era el esposo de Crazy. Yo como que,
yo no sabía
John,
tampoco.
¿por qué no lo traes? No, man, it's crazy because we never care about the gossip, and John didn't even knew about that Spider-Man was
Oh yeah.
the husband of Chrissy. But no, man, thank you for telling us because we are fans from Chrissy, from
No,
Bonnie,
right.
and from
Later on,
you.
later on tonight, I'll send you. I'll email you back the just a quick hello and thank you for this, and then I'll attach some photos from the set if you want to see some. I don't think because I think they released a couple, so I can give you probably. I'll ask Spider to make sure, and Chrissy to make sure I can do that, but get approval. But it's called Little Bites, and I know they're in post production right now, trying to get it ready for some festivals.
But please send a bit hi to
You know,
Chrissy.
you know what?
Tell her
You, share, and Chaz Bono produced it.
you can send also a big hi to Chrissy, tell her that we miss her, and a big hi to Spider, tell that we are
Yeah,
fans from his work. We will
we'll
thank
do.
you. John, que le va a escribir, bueno, otro datazo, ¿no? Más bombas. Chaz y Cher Bono son los productores de esta película. John, eh, él le va a escribir hoy a Chrissy y a Spider, le dije obviamente que le mande saludos de nosotros para pedirle imágenes exclusivas de esta película. Obvio que las
Jesus
autoriza.
Christ. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No, man.
Appreciate,
Thanks to you.
congratulations. Great women.
Great weekend, and thanks for your honesty, for your kindness, and for your word, man. We really
Thank
appreciate you.
Generosity and for recognizing a small guy like me.
No, man, you are huge. And and we will send that part from the interview to Mike, maybe to Chris y John. Tienes que enviarle eso a Mike, por
Sí,
favor.
porfa. Ajá.
We love Mike, David Mike. Bueno, thank you, man.
Okay, see you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.